So, it is a known fact that solo rec can be a madhouse. One of the main reasons why everyone is going rogue and doing their own thing is because the level of point guard play is atrocious. In this video, I want to go over 5 tips for all of my point guards out there to help to take our games to the next level. So if you're struggling to run the point guard in the rec center, check out this video, as I'm sure one of these tips will be beneficial to your game. But without any further delays, let's jump right into it with the first tip on the list, and that's going to be to slow down. Matter of fact, just forget the turbo button even exists. I say this because a lot of the times, we as point guards, usually being the fastest person on the court, we end up overrunning the play or just not giving a play enough time to develop before we're inches away from the baseline, throwing a wild forced pass to God knows who or where. This especially holds true on the inbounds. We have got to stop sprinting up court to play 5v4 basketball. At the least, let the inbounder get some time to get up court and get set. Mind you, some of these centers be having like a 50 to 60 speed rating, so it's okay for you to walk it up. Your big or whoever's inbounding the ball will appreciate you for it. And obviously, there are going to be times when you're going to need to use the turbo, but even then, you should be doing so sparingly. Usually a quick tap to get a burst is all you need to blow by your mans. The next tip on this list, while it should go without being mentioned, well, you already know, and that's to pass the goddamn ball. Like, seriously, you're the freaking point guard. Why am I having to tell you this? Just hit the open man. Try to use the first quarter or half even to get a feel for your teammates and how they move around the court. Try not to lock onto just one guy. Even if it's a team full of bums and just him, still look to feed those bums when open and if score and clock allow for it. Trust me, it'll keep their main character syndrome at bay so that they don't sell you later on in the game. And then cross-court passes, be mindful of those as well. The Hawks are out. You may get it through here and there, but eventually if you keep throwing them, somebody's gonna pick it off. So just try to be careful. And then one last thing before we move on to the next tip. Just because we are running on a point guard doesn't mean we have got to bring up the ball every time. It's okay to hit the shooting guard or small forward and let them walk it up and initiate the offense, and you just sit wing or corner. But I digress. Moving on, the next tip on the list is to make better use of your icons. As I said in the last tip, we need to be passing way more. There's no reason point guards should be coming into the rec center averaging less than 4 assists per game. That's literally 1 per quarter. Now, one key way to ensure that you're not missing out on any of these assists is to keep your icons up when you're not in a scoring position or looking to score. At first, this can be complicated, so I would say just from the time you get the inbound until you have crossed half court and are setting up at around the 3-point line, leave your icons up. Unless, of course, you beat your mans on a blitz and you have a wide open 3. In that case, just let it fly, you know? If one thing is for certain when it comes to solo rec, there's always going to be someone cutting to the basket. Sometimes they're open, sometimes they aren't. But when they are open, it's usually for like a split second, and you want to be ready when those split seconds do arise. Moving on to the next tip on the list, and that's going to be to go out and do some pre-game scouting. When we are loading up into the rec, we shouldn't be out here popping off expensive ass emotes. Instead, we need to be using this time to scout out not just our matchups, but our teammates and their matchups as well. Trying to identify any mismatches from early before the tip even happens. Pause. Does one of your opponents have a low overall? Try to feed whoever's lined up against them early and often so that y'all can build up a lead. Maybe your matchup is a 300. That means you're gonna wanna guard him tightly on the perimeter, and you probably don't have to respect his drive or fake drive attempts as much. But all of this information and more can be found during the pre-game load up. Just hit Y on Xbox or triangle, I believe it is, on PlayStation. And then use your bumpers to scroll between your teammates and their matchups. And then if you hit Y or triangle again, it'll give you the individual's top 5 attributes and their ratings, as well as their badge graph. So with all of this information, we should be able to formulate a plan of attack before the ball even gets tipped off. Moving on, the next tip on this list is to learn how to dribble. And you do not have to be a dribble god, but you should at the bare minimum know how to activate all of the different dribble animations. And ideally, you should have a go-to combo or 2, and then a counter for when your matchup starts to pick up on your dribble tendencies. And again, I can't echo this enough. You do not have to go trigger happy with the right stick. A simple tween or behind the back is all you need sometimes to free up some space for you or a teammate. So my advice to you, hit up the gym and practice your dribble moves so that you're able to get where you need to go on the court when you need to get there and without any worries. Now, just my personal opinion on the matter, and I know a lot of people say that you should just practice in Luckyz, the art of shooting, or the practice arena. And if you're completely new to dribbling, then you probably should start out there just so you can work on getting the dribble moves together without having to worry about managing stamina drain or anything like that. But eventually, you are gonna want to go to the Gatorade gym to practice your dribble moves, and more so shooting off of these dribble moves with stamina activated, as that's obviously how it's gonna be in game. And the goal here should be to mirror as closely to actual game situations as best as we possibly can. Moving on to the next tip on the list, and that's gonna do with your build. Now, I'm not into the habit of recommending this build over the next build because at the end of the day, your build should complement your own personal playstyle and skill level. But I will say this, make sure your build can guard your position. Let's not forget, there's an actual user on the other end of the sticks whose build is probably similar to yours offensively in that they tried to make a demigod. If you're able to stop your matchup, it usually leads to chaos for the other team. Or like we've been trying to establish here, we as the point guard need to have control over our team. So if we can get into the other team's mind and cause them to doubt their point guard or doubt his skills, that's when you start to see them calling timeouts or just doing random shit because we're random. So you should at the very least try to make it a goal or habit to hold your matchup to under the averages. So be mindful when making your builds and don't think that perimeter or interior defense is just a dumb stat. And then also on the offensive end, you kind of want to try to be great at some method of scoring, be it layup, dunks, mid-range, three-pointer, post scoring, whatever it be. We need to be able to rely on you when nothing else is working, randoms are on the brink of going full rogue mode, and we need a bucket. You have got to be able to, as the point guard, get that bucket for us to kind of calm everything down and bring everybody back. So for me on my build, I have my 92 mid-range. So when shit start getting hairy, I'm usually gonna try and work for a mid-range shot just to get some points on the board, you know? The next tip on this list is to try to make it a habit to lock up your mans on defense. As we've been pretty much trying to establish this whole video, if the point guard is trash or not properly leading his team, it's not long before the team's gonna go rogue. So if you, as the primary defender, can put the other team's point guard in a box and stop him from scoring or facilitating, it won't be long before his teammates start to lose faith in him and start doing their own thing, and or he just straight up quits. And this is gonna especially hold true if you're playing against one of them score first point guards. Don't let him start off 1 for 5 with a 7-point deficit. It's pretty much GG's at that point. Well, so long as you stay on your shit and don't have none of your teammates going rogue, which can and will happen. The number of games that I have lost or came back and won because the team that's up at half went away from what was working for them in the first that helped them build a lead in the first place. But to come back full circle and land the plane, when it comes to defense, try to make it a priority to at least hold your matchup to under their averages. These are just some of the tips that I've accumulated over my many years of playing rec in NBA 2K. If you got any other tips, drop them in the comment section below. And then before we get out of here, as a quick bonus tip, I would say learn to shoot. You have got to be able to hit a wide open shot. Even if it's not directly in your playstyle, at some point as a point guard, you will find yourself wide open in a corner, down 3, and we are going to need you to hit that. So think about 1, investing in shooting, and 2, practicing your shot. If you need more help with getting your shot down, check out the video that's on screen. And till we meet up on them virtual courts, luck out. Peace.